Shabbat Shalom. An oft-repeated maxim is, man plans and God laughs. I do not like this maxim. This is not the God in which I believe. In fact, I have a tendency to think it is the absolute opposite, that God plans and human beings laugh. Nowhere is that more evident to me than in this week's Torah portion. God and Moses are up on Mount Sinai planning all sorts of wonderful things for the Jewish people. And down below, the people laugh. First, they get frightened. They think that Moses has deserted them, and they need a God that they can see and follow. And what they literally do, once they broker an arrangement with Aaron, very strangely, that he will accept their gold, their jewelry, their precious items, and he will mold them, first melting them and then molding them into some kind of god that they can see. Once the molten calf is fashioned, the people get up and they metzachek. They laugh, or they dance, or they scoff, or they play. Whatever it is that they do, the Torah uses the word metzachek. They got up to laugh. To laugh in God's face, to laugh in Moses' face, to celebrate even when they should not have been, and in a matter that was expressly forbidden. A lot of debate about whether this was actual idolatry. They were still a very young people. So much has been said about it. But there is a moment in this scene that a lot of the time when I read it, I cannot help but laugh. I don't know the original author's intent, but it is essentially a comic moment. This is in Exodus chapter 32, verse 24. Moses confronts Aaron. He has said, "What did this people do to you that you brought such great sin upon them?" Aaron says, "Let my Lord not be enraged. You know this people is a stiff-necked people. They said, 'Make us a god to lead us.' For that man, Moses, who brought us from the land of Egypt, we don't know what's happened to him. So I said to them, 'Whoever has gold, take it off.' They gave it to me. I hurled it into the fire, and out came this calf." It's a crazy moment, really almost a laugh line. It's a cringeworthy line, as we say in our modern parlance, but it's remarkably funny if you stop to think about it. Here is Aaron feigning innocence, at least a complete lack of control over what emerged from these flames. "I threw in all the stuff, and the calf made itself." My friends, if you'll forgive me, I have been ruminating, a lot about this calf all week. It means to chew on things, and it's also what cows do when they chew their cud. Great word. I've been chewing on this a lot this week as I'm reading more and more about something very, very new, which seems to bear, at least in my mind, some eerie similarities to this molten golden calf of long, long ago. I'm extremely honored today to have some very young gentlemen here in our congregation. So, gents, you're going to forgive me ahead of time as I put a toe into very sophisticated computer-type subjects. Here we go. Recently, just a couple weeks ago, an article ran in the Los Angeles Jewish Journal. It is called "Ethics, Judaism, and Artificial Intelligence. Can ChatGPT strengthen your Judaism?" I was delighted to see it's by Rabbi Yehuda Hausman. I recommend the whole article. Rabbi Hausman is one of my Talmud teachers from Academy for Jewish Religion in Los Angeles, and he describes himself, somehow this did not surprise me, as a sci-fi rabbi who daydreams about keeping Shabbat on Mars. For Rabbi Hausman, rumors of an artificial intelligence, an AI wizard, descending from the cloud to dispense its wisdom to the children of Eve, he says, quote, "is way too cool to ignore." So what is ChatGPT? It is, put very simply, the best artificial intelligence chatbot ever released to the general public. It was built by OpenAI, a San Francisco AI company, maybe, of course. And GPT stands for Generative Pre-trained Transformer. There will not be a test later, but I'll repeat it. GPT stands for Generative Pre-trained Transformer. And it is described by some as a mix of software and sorcery. It can write college-level essays, sermons, and disclaimer, it did not write this one. Though a sermon has been given that was totally written by ChatGPT, the congregation liked it, but felt ultimately it lacked soul. It can write articles, jokes, scripts, it can generate computer code, guess at medical diagnoses, create text-based Harry Potter games. I'm not sure why Harry Potter was particularly mentioned in a separate article. I assume it can do games based on other subjects, but coming off of our Harry Potter Purim experience, I took this as a good sign. It can also explain scientific concepts at multiple levels of difficulty, including, I think, explaining what it itself is. Though I must point out that its knowledge is restricted to things that it learned before 2021. So it's already obsolete, and a new version is on its way. It's basically a massive digitized library containing a rather significant portion of humanity's cultural and scientific knowledge. With this vast ocean of information, ChatGPT synthesizes data in a concise and clear manner to answer almost any question imaginable. Rabbi Hausman continues, perhaps the most significant problem for ChatGPT users is that the same algorithms that give it the ability to extemporize and creatively mimic tropes frequently causes the technology to very often state inaccuracies and outright falsehoods. But some of it is fabulous. One Twitter user asked it to write a biblical verse in the style of the King James Bible, explaining how to remove a peanut butter sandwich from a VCR. For those who need a reminder, a VCR is that little machine that we used to play videotapes in. I shall share this masterpiece with you. And it came to pass that a man was troubled by a peanut butter sandwich, for it had been placed within his VCR, and he knew not how to remove it. And he cried out to the Lord, saying, "O Lord, how can I remove this sandwich from my VCR? For it is stuck fast and will not budge." And the Lord spake unto him, saying, "Fear not, my child, for I shall guide thy hand and show thee the way. Take thy butter knife and carefully insert it between the sandwich and the VCR, and gently pry them apart. And with patience and perseverance, the sandwich shall be removed, and thy VCR shall be saved." And the man did as the Lord commanded. And lo, the sandwich was removed from the VCR, and the man was saved. And the Lord said, "Verily I say unto thee, seek not to put thy peanut butter sandwiches in the VCR, for it is not a suitable place for such things. Rather keep thy sandwiches in thy refrigerator or on thy plate where they belong." And the man heeded the Lord's words, and from that day forth he kept his sandwiches in their proper place and was saved from trouble and woe. Amen. That was written by an artificial intelligence, a vast and mysterious cauldron into whose fire a huge chunk of valuable stuff has been thrown. And who knows what's going to come out? I wonder if it will produce an idol around which humanity will dance and revel and laugh, but which is ultimately like the molten calf, without soul or real creative power. It is impossible to predict where artificial intelligence is heading. Maybe as we hurtle into this unknown frontier, we might take a little bit of comfort from a prescription in this week's Parsha that lays out the ultimate connection to the ultimate cosmic intelligence that our ancestors named Yud-He Vav-He, the source of all being. How are we going to do that? Well, that's also right here in this Parsha. The Israelite people shall keep the Sabbath, observing the Sabbath through the ages as a covenant for all time. It shall be a sign for all time between me and the people of Israel. For in 6 days God made heaven and earth, and on the seventh day God ceased from work and was refreshed. We throw a lot of very valuable resources into creating Shabbat. Like Aaron and that cauldron of fire, we too never quite know what is going to come out. But it's worth it, isn't it? When everything else is an insurmountable and swirling riddle, the results of which we have no concept what will be, the invitation to Shabbat is still here, still calling us home, still real, and never artificial. Shabbat shalom.